So, from Alan Smiley, do us all a favour and don't eat and vlog. It's not pleasant. Tar. Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. So, we've had so many questions in our comments. As I said to you before, I really do apologise if I don't get back to any of you guys. I do my best, but we get so many. I thought that we would just do a video on a Q&A. So the first one there regarding the eating, I think that was aimed at me chewing gum on the last video. I sincerely apologise for that. I noticed I have done that before, but believe it or not, that last one that I did, until I got home and started editing, I didn't even realise I had the gum in. So the very beginning of this video, that was a little joke. All joking aside, I'll definitely not do that again. Okay, so that was the first question answered there. I picked a handful of about 10 questions, and I'm going to start off with the, I suppose, sort of negative ones. I mean, we get lots of positive ones. I like to address the negative ones. So I'm going to start off with those. Now, the first question here is from 666KTY. This question was related to the Cosworth disaster video of last. So the question is, not going to lie, with showing your warranty work, etc., doesn't make you look good. I wouldn't hire you. A smart guy would show good results, dyno vids, etc. To be honest, I'm surprised this one hasn't popped up a bit more. I'm going to be honest, when we first decided to do the channel and which way we were going to go with the channel, I obviously watched lots of channels like ours, mainly from you guys in America. They seem to love that sort of thing, but they all seem to be the same. They were only just informative or just trying to glamorize the product they were doing and the business. You know, there didn't seem to be any that showed exactly what it's like to run a business. The one thing I was worried about with showing warranty work, exactly this really, what are people going to think? Are they going to think that, God, they only seem to have work back through warranty and that they can't be very good if they're getting warranty work back and stuff like this? But actually, that is the warranty side of it. I mean, the stories that I do videos on and show you are a very, very small minority of the work that we do. And if you actually watch the videos right back and watch them all the way through, you will see that mainly they are, it doesn't end up our fault. And but don't get me wrong, there is the odd time when you do get one back or an engine back, whether it be a performance or just a general engine with a problem, and it is down to you. You know, we're all human at the end of the day, and accidents happen, and you know, things will get sort of overlooked, and problems will arise. Mainly for us, it's silly problems like oil leaks or a leaky seal. I mean, we can only do, with fitting a seal, for example, we can only do the routine that we do on fitting a seal. We can't foresee the future as to whether that seal's going to leak, you know. So they are the biggest bugbear of ours. I mean, it can be very costly and quite a lot of work to replace something as small as a seal for us. So yeah, you've got to bear in mind, guys, we do a lot of work, and yeah, we see very few back. But yeah, it has, as I say, that when we decided to come up with the channel and go the route we've gone, we were a little worried that would have an adverse effect on, but it doesn't seem to. You know, we seem to get a lot of work, and you know, I think by doing the video the way we do it, it shows the sort of care we have for the customers and the work, and the lengths to which we will go to try and rectify a problem, you know, whether it be ours or not. You know, our main priority is to cut the costs for the customer. So yeah, hope that answers your question there. Second question from Slam Cheese. Can you do more vids where you point at engines? Now, I'm assuming by that he means not just standing there pointing at an engine. He means doing more vids rather than the warranty side on the actual engines. We try and mix it up, and obviously the channel's very new and we've got lots of stuff in the pipeline and lots of stuff we want to do videos on, as in sort of engine builds. But we're sort of, we've really tried to focus this year on mixing it up, seeing what works, seeing what people want to see. And people like to see the warranty videos, the, you know, what's gone wrong, the behind the scenes sort of videos, as much as they do the engine videos. So yeah, as I say, we get lots of comments on people asking to see a specific video that we do. You just got to bear with us. Just wait for the ones that you like watching. But we can't just do those, because that's the idea of the channel, is to sort of show all areas. 2022 is going to be different. We've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline, so you're going to be seeing a lot more engine videos. Third question. This is from Dick. Ha ha. Worried about cost? There is your issues. If you loved what you did, money wouldn't be the issue, correct? You're in it for the money and you get what you deserve. So first of all, I'm not sure what vid this is about, because it didn't say on the comments whether this is just a general thing or about a specific video. I don't know. Could it be the costly Cosworth that he was talking about? Are we just in it for the money? At the end of the day, we're a business. Business is all about money. I'm not here for the good of my health. As much as I enjoy the job, which is great, if you enjoy your job, and you know, it's my business at the end of the day, so you've got to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, your heart's not in it, and you're going to have a miserable 8 hours of every day. So yes, I do enjoy my job, and I obviously, ultimately, I am in it for the money, because that's what we're all at work for. But that is not purely what I'm in it for. I am in it because I really enjoy the job. I enjoy working with the majority of our customers. I enjoy each job, to me, especially the big jobs, is a project. You know, first of all, you've got to start you start building your relationship with the customer, understanding what the customer wants. You know, especially on the performance things like this Cosworth, for instance, that did end up costing us some money. We thoroughly enjoy it, and we become good friends with the customer usually, and we want it to be as cheap for the customer as it can be. Obviously, we've got to make some money, so we can't do everything for free. We're not a charity, but we do like things to go smooth. We hate it when there's problems, whether it be our fault or someone else's fault, like a tuner or the customer or the fitter or whatever. We hate that because it puts a dampener on the whole project, you know, and some of these projects we've got are months and months long, and we like to see the end result being perfect and the customer being really happy with the job. So no, we're not purely in it for the money, but we are a business. So I hope you understand that. Next question from Martin Peel. This is regarding the engine that was stolen video. He said, might be a good idea to take a deposit for the cost of parts when doing large jobs for the first time customers. Not so much for new customers. I mean, we certainly don't do an account for new customers, you know, not like we do for the garages, etc. But the way we like to work now on, say, sort of long-term engine builds or a full engine, is we like to, the way I work, and I've done this in a video before, we like to strip the engine, see what we've got, measure everything, work out the parts that we need and the price for that, and then do an invoice for that, speak to the customer. If he's happy, then we like to get paid for those parts. Then we go ahead and we do the machining and the building, and the final bill for all that will be at the end. So at least our parts are paid for, because as I say, a lot of these engines that are sort of ongoing projects, if we've forked out, you know, several £1,000s for materials, then obviously to keep the books all in order for the quarters and what have you, we like to just get paid for those parts. And not only that, but then we know that the customer is serious. You know, we're not lumbered with, we don't want to fork out, say, £4,000 to £10,000 in parts on an engine that's probably at the end only going to be worth a couple of grand. At least if we have the parts paid for, we know that usually that engine built, if the customer never came back, we know that that engine built is worth more than what we forked out in labour and machining. So that's the way we generally work. With that specific engine there that was stolen, that there was no parts involved in that. We did the machining on the block, and I've got a feeling the customer supplied the liners for that. That was a learning curve. The way we deal with customers now, where engines get picked up, or if we do a machining job to that extent where it is that costly and we don't know the customer from Adam, then yeah, we work a little bit different now. We maybe take part payment. So next question, this is from Gord's Sake. This is a little one regarding the dash fail on our kit car from the last video. He said, why don't you put in a warranty claim? Yeah, very funny. We sort of have, really. We've sent it back. But yeah, whether it be a warranty fail or whether it's something I buggered up, I don't know. Right, so that's it on the questions on this sort of, I suppose, on the negative side. Hope that's answered you correctly, guys. On the positive side here, we've got a sort of handful of questions. I'll start off with the most complex one, actually. This is regarding valve springs. So this is from a viewer called Evo Toad. He said, which valve springs material would be best for extreme RPM increase? Valve springs, as you can imagine, is a very complex science, to be honest with you. Now, we cheat a little bit because things like most of the stuff that we put cams in and different springs, usually we only replace the springs if we're running a high lift cam or an uprated camshaft. And usually we deal with people like Newman cams, Kent cams, Piper cams, and to cheat a little bit, we tend to know what camshaft works in whichever engine spec we're doing on most things. So if the camshaft that we're going to use is recommended that you use an uprated spring, we just buy their springs that they recommend, to be honest with you. The actual science part of it, most springs are made of chrome silicon steel alloy, I suppose, performance springs. The style of spring, there's three different general styles of springs. There's the beehive, where they sort of almost parallel and they sort of taper at the top. So they've got almost a radius at the top there. You've got the straight spring, and then you've got is it the conical spring, which is the tapered spring there. Most of the time we use just a straight spring. I mean, a lot of modern engines we notice these days come with like a beehive design. I suppose if you get into sort of drag racing, the high end of that, the top fuel and all this, it all depends then on your rocker setup, your profile lift of the camshaft, your camshaft aggression, the overall lift. There's a lot of things that it depends on there. I mean, the actual science of the springs, yeah, very complicated. Obviously, when you use a straight spring, a lot of the time they do a double spring for that, so you have a spring that goes in the middle. But with the materials and that these days, and the sort of sciences that are involved, whereas say on the Cosworth, where we used to use a double valve spring, now Newman will do a single spring to run sort of BD16 cams, and that's quite adequate. Those springs are fine for that. So yeah, hope that answers your question there. Got a question here from a Malcolm Pyatt, I think that's how you pronounce it. Has the Cosworth engine, I'm assuming he means the Cosworth disaster engine, has that put us off from doing any other in the future. I'm assuming he means any other Cosworth engine as opposed to any other engine. No, that hasn't put us off at all. We run into these problems. A lot of the time, the problem we've got is because we don't always have put the engine in the vehicle, get it running, run it in, etc. We normally will do an engine like that, then the customer will take it away. What happens to it once it leaves this building is out of our hands. So we've got fingers crossed that everything's going to go smoothly, and everyone that gets involved in that engine from there on knows what they're doing and does things correctly, but that isn't always the case. So no, it certainly hasn't put us off. I would start to scratch my head if we'd had the engine back 4 times and it was our fault every time and we sort of didn't know what was going wrong, but that's not the case. You know, generally, not blowing my own trumpet, but it's very rarely that we sort of make mistakes like that. We're so thorough. There is things that go wrong that are out of your hands, but we do our best to make sure everything that we do is right. So no, certainly hasn't put us off. Got one here from the Essex Hunter. This is regarding the unleaded mini video that we did. What do you guys do to reprofile the Centronic cutters, and are they tipped cutters? Yes, I suppose they are a tipped cutter, as in they're a whole cutter that goes in the machine, but it has got a tip sort of bonded into it. So we've got a machine in there which you can sort of change the angle so you get the right rake angle and clearance angle, and we can sharpen those tools. Albeit they never seem to be as good as when we buy them brand new, but they are quite expensive. They're about £50 a tool, I think we get them for. But it's not very often that we have to replace them, to be honest. Our tool and cutter grinder there does do them pretty good. It's trying to get the right rake angle on them. We never seem to be as perfect as they were when they were brand new, but they certainly work. So that's what we do. You can't replace the tips on them, but they are a sort of bonded tip onto the tool. We've got another one here from Tian KA, I think it's pronounced. And this is regarding the head surfacing that we showed you, I suppose we showed you on the mini unleaded video. He said, why not 1 thou cuts versus 3 thou cuts? Because obviously on that video I said that we put a 3 thou cut on. Is it that you can only cut in increments of 3 thou? No, it isn't. But from our experience, we tend to know, even by just looking at a head face, we can sort of guesstimate how much needs to come off that head. And usually 1 thou doesn't do anything, to be honest with you. It's certainly not going to clean up a head that's come off an old Mini. So rather than go as far as 5 thou, because if it did clean at 2 or 3 thou, then obviously another couple of thou, although it's not going to make a great deal of difference, we normally say, 1 or 2 thou is not going to be enough, especially if it's been blowing in between the cylinders. It's not going to be enough. So if we put a 3 thou cut on, then like before, we put a 3 thou cut on, it didn't clean, but then it could have cleaned, and then you've only took 3 off as opposed to 5. So yeah, we tend to just work in 3 thou really. Got one more here from Richard Schofield. This is regarding the stolen engine. I wonder what the guy's plan was if you didn't let him take the block first. Good point. Would he have paid? And why the cheque for £500? Now this is an interesting one. I suspect this guy has done this before. I shouldn't think, by the way he did it, I shouldn't think that this is the first time. He's quite clever in befriending you and, I'll just pop it in the boot, which a lot of people do. I mean, it's very difficult when you've done a job for people. I mean, I suppose we need to be a bit thicker skinned, and I do try to be, but when you're sort of getting on with a customer and you've had a job like this and you've almost been communicating with them along the way, when they come in and you're all friendly and all this, it's very difficult to say, no, you're not putting that in the boot, I want the money first. How do you go about saying that? It's a bit difficult. So yeah, I think we just need to be thicker skinned on who we choose to let put it in the boot before they pay, I suppose. But as far as the check goes, I'll be honest, I was a little bit scratching my head over that myself. But I did have a comment from one of you viewers, and I found it quite interesting actually. He said, if he, rather than just run off, if he throws us a check, even if it bounces, he seemed to think that it was a civil matter as opposed to a criminal matter if he's chucked us a check. But whether that's true, I don't know, guys. Feel free to comment and see what you think on that. But yeah, it's interesting. If that is what he's done and that is the case, then he's obviously a pro, isn't he? So yeah, he's done us good and proper there. This is from Paul Muff regarding the Cosworth disaster engine again. Hi, do you do the welding on the block? And this will probably be on the alpha block, I would have thought he's on about here. If so, would be great viewing. Well, with aluminium, we have actually got all the gear to do the aluminium, but we ain't great at aluminium welding. I mean, there's different grades of aluminium. Depending on the condition of the aluminium, it's quite complicated to weld aluminium successfully, especially crap like that. So we've got a guy called Mark that comes in. He's an absolutely fantastic welder. He uses all our gear. If it's a bit more intricate, he's got gear himself, which he'll take the job home and do. But we get him in to do it, to be honest with you. And he sort of charges us a rate, and then we charge the customer a rate just for using our equipment. But it's a lot easier. You know, we're not a specialist of everything, and he can do it far better than us. He's freelance, so he comes in and does it. But certainly, when he does come in to do that block, I will do a video and show you what's involved in it. Yeah, I think that'd be quite interesting. Well, there we go, guys. Periodically, I'll do a Q&A because I think it's quite interesting, actually. Feel free to comment on any of the questions that I've answered there, rectifying what I've said or, or putting your view across. Thanks ever so much for watching, guys. If I don't see you before, have a great New Year's Eve, Happy New Year, and we'll see you in another video. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.